In today's episode, Mallory asks, in your honest opinion, what is the differentiation in marketing and sales? What's the difference between marketing and sales? Well, the short answer is creation of demand versus fulfillment of demand. Marketing's primary goal is to create demand. And by that, we mean people who want to do business with the company in some form or fashion. They are aware of it. They are considering it. They are considering the company, and they may even want to talk to somebody to buy something. Now, there are different types of companies, and companies will differentially invest in marketing or sales. A company that is very sales heavy will invest heavily in sales staff. They may or may not invest heavily in marketing. And sales is going to be doing a lot of cold calling. If you want a really good example, there's any real estate company is super heavy on the sales side, and the realtors, if they don't already have their existing book of business, are cold calling, knocking on doors, things like that. On the flip side, there are companies that are essentially giant marketing organizations, and they may or may not even do a whole lot of sales. They may function as a marketing organization. Many affiliate marketing companies are like that. I worked at a financial services company that was a marketing organization on behalf of another company. There wasn't a sales process other than one person going around brokering deals for this type of affiliate marketing. And so it was a pure marketing organization. If you think about the creation of demand and the fulfillment of demand as like a 2x2 matrix, then in the lower left-hand corner where a company doesn't create demand and doesn't fulfill demand, they're going out of business, right? Sears is a really good example of this. Sears used to be very good until the current CEO, who has essentially driven the company face first into the ground. No investment in sales, no investment in marketing, and the company's just in terrible condition. It's been bankrupt many, many times, and eventually it will just go away because the fundamental underpinnings of the company are so badly broken that it will take, if the company could recover, it would take decades. A company where there is creation of demand but no fulfillment, there's not a robust sales organization. That's actually a place where many startups run into trouble, where they're good at marketing, but they're not good at sales. And when they hit success, they struggle to keep up with. They struggle to meet the demand that they're creating or that already exists and that they're amplifying. I'm trying to think of a good example of that. In the early days, that was Amazon, being able to keep up with the logistics of just how successful the online model was. A company where there's no creation of demand, but there's fulfillment. That's many cold calling businesses. Again, real estate agencies are a good example. In some cases, think back. Well, if you don't have as much gray hair as I do, maybe impossible to think back this far, but in the 1970s, this was Xerox. Xerox, before its patents expired on its photocopiers, was essentially an order-taking organization. The phone would ring, and someone would say, "I want 5 of these things," and the salesperson would be like, "Yep, got it," and that would be that. They had so much demand that they didn't really need to market all that heavily. And their organization was purely about fulfilling the demand that existed. They had a rude awakening when their patents expired and other competitors came into the space, and suddenly the phone stopped ringing. Canon and all these other imaging companies jumped into the fray. And at that point, they struggled pretty heavily to try and figure out how to deal with an environment where there was still demand, but they were no longer the sole brand. And it's debatable about how well they fulfilled that. Certainly other imaging companies have done very, very well, like Canon over the years. And finally, a company that creates and fulfills demand well, that's any successful business, right? That's everything from Amazon to Walmart to Apple to Google. That's fundamentally a successful business. So that's the difference between marketing and sales. In terms of how you understand this difference, that's a lot more squishy, because the customer journey for a company will not necessarily map to its marketing operations or its revenue operations. At a small company, there may be one person whose job is marketing and sales, and one of the most difficult things to figure out is, as the company grows and scales, how do you break up that role? What is that person who's doing that role better at, so that you can hire for the thing they're less better at, and ultimately level up your talent pool? From a job assignment perspective, marketing and sales are separate skill sets. And one of the things that companies do really wrong is they confuse the two, and they assume that somebody who is a good marketer would make a good salesperson, and vice versa. It's not true. Creation versus fulfillment of demand are very, very different capabilities, particularly in the digital age. So an important consideration for a lot of companies is what do you have for talent? And then where are you weakest? And then you hire up, you create or build new talent rather than trying to move existing talent around. I totally get it. There's a lot of incentive to do more with what you already have people-wise, but if you want to grow, a lot of the time it requires you getting better skills than you possibly have rather than training somebody up. Training somebody up is a good long-term investment, but if you need to grow quickly, you need to hire in. And finally, the understanding of the difference between marketing and sales is most critical when you are dealing with the customer journey and understanding where the customer is in their journey. If you think they're still in the demand creation phase, but they're really in the demand fulfillment phase, you're going to leave them frustrated, right? They're like, no, I just let me buy something. The opposite is worse, which is someone is still in the demand creation phase, like still exploring, still learning, still talking to friends and reading reviews, and you got a salesperson pestering them, right? If you're in B2B, this is virtually every B2B company that is saying like, hey, you want to buy something? Hey, you want to buy something? Hey, you want to buy something? And we know as people, as consumers, that's a turnoff. So it's really important to know where the customer is in their demand fulfillment, where they are in their demand cycle, if you will. So important to know the difference so that you can treat the customer better, you can hire effectively, and you know how to structure your operations. Good question. If you have follow-up comments, please leave them in the comments box below. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and the newsletter. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Want help solving your company's data, analytics, and digital marketing problems? Visit trustinsights.ai today and let us know how we can help you.